Welcome to Unleash Your Healing Vibes podcast, where we talk about the many generational curses that could plague you. Look at ways to break the cycles, free yourself from ancestral trauma, and transform your life into the life that you came here to live. My name is Alicia Ramella, and today I want to talk about teaching our children and ourselves, for that matter, how to use the right brain. So, why is this important? Well, several reasons. The right brain is where creative skills, critical thinking skills, imagination, entrepreneurship, out of the box thinking, questioning the narrative, intuitive skills, emotional intelligence, attention to detail and context, using peripheral vision, seeing the bigger picture, and just instead of focusing on your little dot, and much more that I can get into here later. But not much right brain is taught in the education system, but not everyone can do homeschool. So adding in like a right brain curriculum on this side can really help to develop your child's right brain skills. Well, actually, children are born with these skills and they slowly get crushed out of them due to the left brain education system, geared, to train up worker bees and not individual thinkers. But when you know how to use your right brain instead of only your left brain, then your life will change. And you can instill these skills into your children and foster their right brain thinking skills. Then they will be able to stand on their own as adults and not follow the mainstream, but think for themselves and know how to master interpersonal relationships, solve complex problems, and help us build a future, the new future that many of us around the planet are envisioning and manifesting. So, think about this AI thing, right? What can AI do? Left brain skills, right? See, also a writer, and before I started coaching, that's all I did was write. And many people in the writing community were like, oh no, AI is going to take my job. Yeah, if you write boring computer sounding stuff. But if you're creative and your writing has a human flair to it, there's not going to be an AI that can mimic that because that's a right brain skill. Well, as far as I know of anyway. But even if there are AI programs that can do right brain skills, it's highly unlikely that they will be as advanced and as unique as a human being who can use their right brain mostly. So let's talk about how the right brain works for a second. Okay, so the right brain works with symbols and photogenic memory learning. This is where kids have musical appreciation, empathetic learning, listening, thinking people skills, stuff that comes from using the right brain. Oh, I also want to say that I'm not saying that a person should only be right-brained. No, the goal is to integrate both sides of your brain. But if you were to pick one that is dominant, and most people do have a dominant side, then you'd want to be dominant in the right brain. I mean, unless you're okay with the world the way it is now, then carry on. But if you want a brighter future and you want your kids to have a chance at being free and happy, then it's wise to teach right brain skills. So what we want is a critical thinking brain. That's the goal. So what does a critical thinking brain do? Well, it's skeptical for one thing. A person with a critical thinking brain is going to question things that make zero sense instead of putting their head in the sand. I remember back in my psychology days that they taught us something called the bystander effect. So essentially, if someone's being robbed on the street at gunpoint and 10 people see it, 90% or maybe all of them will just walk away and do nothing with the assumption that someone else will get involved and they'll be the hero, right? But the chances are super high that no one is the hero. And does that not explain the whole society that we live in today? I mean, people have these VR headsets on and the entire place is on fire and slowly turning into an Orwellian nightmare. While most people are in a state of program thinking, conditioned, sort of like autopilot, try telling them something that goes against their beliefs about anything. And they will tend to go all haywire and completely in denial and get very upset. So, like, think about this as like a reaction versus actually processing information and then deciding upon the best response. That's what we want. People who have critical thinking brains can process information and respond without just some fast reaction that can from programming, be it from the church, the school, the family, the work, everywhere people are being programmed. Think about something, okay, like just anything. Helmets, okay? Helmets. What do you think of when you think of a helmet? Wearing a helmet, right? When you're like on a motorcycle or a bike, right? Is that not what comes to your mind? Is that from experience? Like, you rode a motorcycle without a helmet one time, so you bashed your head on the concrete, and now you only wear a helmet when you ride so that you don't bash your head on the concrete? Or did someone else tell you that you must wear a helmet when you ride a motorcycle? Most likely, I mean, unless you bashed your head on the concrete, someone else told you that. You've been programmed or conditioned during your programming years. I mean, like grade school, that you have to wear a helmet, or it's the law, most places, it's the law, you got to wear your helmet. So suppose I come over to your house and I'm riding a motorcycle and I'm not wearing a helmet, and you come outside and you say that I should have my helmet on. I say, I don't need one. And then you say, but you do need one. And we get into a big argument over what? Your belief about something that you were programmed and conditioned to think that way, that is right and that is true while you were a child, and you want to go against my wishes as a supposedly free human being wanting to ride the bike that I own, that I purchased. Do you see how silly that is? I mean, this is like a silly example, but that is exactly the stuff we got going on in the world right now. If you just look around. I mean, this is how everything works when people use their left brain more than their right brain. Left brain needs to be controlled by rules, and right brain thinking people, well, they just don't. So left brain's like, respect my authority, and right brain is more, no thanks, I'm sovereign, I'm an expanded awareness being living in a human body, and I live by my own rules, thank you very much. Typically, right brain people want to be left alone, and they usually don't have a ton of friends because they're real and genuine. You're not going to find many fake right brain people. It just feels grimy to me. I've never been like that, and most often, people either really don't like me or they're magnetically drawn to me. It's normally not much in the middle, and it's because I'm real and I'm a right brain thinker. We need more right brain thinkers, and like I said, I think we need to be able to use the whole brain. I mean, you're playing a game of Clue, you want some logic, right? If you're playing chess or Monopoly, logic skills will help you win. But what if you're playing catchphrase? Then you're going to be using your right brain skills, right? You need to be quick and creative to play catchphrase. So I'm not saying you only need the right brain. No, that's black and white left brain thinking. I think holistically, whole brain approach is best, especially if we're going to grow up the new earth leaders of the future. Think about it, between 0 and 7-ish, during the child's theta state brainwaves, they are like a big sponge, okay? And they're geared toward this right brain thinking. Only if we can just keep that going instead of trying to stop it with logic and useless memorization of useless lies. Think about it. Thinking in the abstract, okay? That's a right brain activity. So what does that mean, the abstract thinking? This is out of the box thinking, zooming out, looking at something different from the science. Okay, problem solving, decision making, critical thinking, all of these things come from the ability to be able to abstract think. When you learn how to think like this, you can better understand other human beings. Then you can learn to see things from their point of view and other people's points of view instead of just your little dot me view. Okay, so understanding ideas that are beyond the realm of the sense perceptions, like lyrics in a song, poetry, metaphors, understanding symbols and symbolism, connecting things together that most people think are unrelated, but you know how to follow the thread. A great way to increase abstract thinking skills in children is through puzzles, escape rooms, look and finds, word searches, jigsaw puzzles, teaching them a new hobby or a skill, board games, Well, when age appropriate, like 4-year-olds won't benefit from you trying to teach them chess or Monopoly, but they do have plenty of junior games of the bigger ones, to get your kids started when they're young. I have junior versions of every game. Okay, the thing that I see that kills this process the most is overthinking. And believe me, I'm prone to overthink. My brain automatically does this in the background. Like, as soon as I have an experience, my brain's already determining all the possible scenarios and laying them all out in a good or bad ratio. And then, I'm supposed to decide which path has the most probability of being successful. This all happens subconsciously, but it still causes my head to hurt sometimes. And if I allow myself, then I can go down some very twisty, irrational, and unlikely roads. And this type of overthinking gets us absolutely nowhere. I mean, nowhere. When things like overthinking happen to you, this is time to surrender. Know that everything is going to go for you. As long as you're in a state of positivity and joy, surrender everything over to God, universe, whatever you want to be surrendering to. But this allows the overthinking to become pointless, and it therefore ceases to exist. When it's no longer a survival amygdala process, your reptilian part of your brain can shut up and let the rest of the brain take control for once, and then you'll have a much less anxiety. So here's another reason I think we need right brain thinkers in the world. The left brain is attached to consumerism. Yes, I know most of you were conditioned this way, carrot, stick, and all that nonsense. But it keeps you looking outside of yourself for external validation and constantly chasing goods and services for happiness that doesn't exist. It's like relationships. Oh my God, how many couples that I see anymore, they're not truly in love. No, most everyone I come across is in some sort of transactional partnership. Well, I got the house, you get the money, I wash the clothes, I've got the car, you go to work, I got a kid, you got a kid. Let's come together, and now I only have to do half the work now. Woohoo! None of it's done from a space of unconditional love. Most couples are simply just trying to exist, and 2 paychecks are better than one stuff. I mean, it's horrible. Of course, you can thank the economy for a lot of that, but still, this is exactly why I am still single. I refuse to let my kids grow up seeing that kind of transactional relationship and equate it to love. No. If they see me in a relationship, it's because I love that person unconditionally, and that person loves me unconditionally. And we want to bring joy and happiness to our little corner of the world. Call me old-fashioned, call me a romantic, whatever you want, but my kids will either see what real love is, or they won't see anything but an independent woman who stands on her own 2 feet and doesn't put up with chaos or abuse or empty transactional relationships. But back to consumerism. We don't need all this stuff. Just like you don't need to be in a relationship. What people need to do is learn how to hermit mode. Look inside yourself for answers. How can you grow as a soul? What are you doing here? What light do you want to bring into the world? Everyone talks about like a mission. I got this mission. But maybe your mission isn't like Rosa Parks type famous. Maybe your mission is simply to create a loving family and have loving kids who know how to spread love into the world. Maybe your mission is to create beautiful websites for small businesses. Maybe your mission is to create music and shine your light at the smaller scale. Clients are always saying, I have a feeling I need to do something big. And I tell them, small steps. Maybe you can do more, but just zoom out and use your right brain and look at the bigger picture. Your mission doesn't have to be gigantic. Maybe some of you are here to bring the community back together, the small community where you grow corn and I grow carrots and Brad across the street's got cows and the butcher Bill down the road makes and packages up the meat and she's got a flower shop and you can go get the most beautiful flower arrangements. And Barbara, she runs the homeschool co-op 1-room schoolhouse style. Dave, he makes tools for everybody. Cheryl, she's a homeopath practitioner and she grows all the medicinal herbs that you could ever need to keep your family safe and healthy. Everyone trades these goods and services. There's no need for currency other than just spreading your love and energy. That could be our currency. People all working together in harmony for the good of the earth. You don't have to pay for free energy to some business that's just harnessing free energy. You don't have to pay a water company that allows the waste management services to be completely corrupt. No one is spraying the foods with chemicals to kill the bugs and the bacteria that's supposed to break down the calcium and the phosphorus into the soil so that the soil isn't depleted of all the nutrients that your body needs. No one's drinking water full of fluoride and 300 other so chemicals and plastics and nanotech and whatever else is in it. Everyone's working together in harmony. There's no competition. There's no evil. It's just nobody trying to walk around instilling fear everywhere. We can get back to that. People have no idea how wonderful it can be when we all finally band together and create these small, happy communities where everybody's living happy as it should be, as we were made to do, as the earth has an abundance of things to give us if we just stop abusing it. All right, so let's look at some ways to teach the future kids of this beautiful new earth that we can all envision. Let's start with right brain teaching. Okay, so first thing, nutrition. Children need like phosphorus, sulfur, and manganese for proper brain functioning. These three substances are like brain food meets soul food trio. They need each other to function, right? And sort of like, magnesium needs calcium to work together in harmony in the body, and with sodium too. Yes, we need sodium, not man-made salt. So anyway, a diet that is rich in these things are going to help the brain work best, okay? So then you want to limit toxins. Toxins are everywhere. All you got to do is go outside and look up, especially if you're in a city. But it's everywhere. Toxins and EMFs, they mess with the learning and development. Limit your screen time for your kids. Limit their screen time. Studies have shown that reading on like a computer damages the brain. It damages the ability to read books, real life paper books. Reading real life paper books actually help to counter this effect. There was something I read, and I'm not quoting it exact, but like some guy read a bunch of ebooks like in college or whatever, and he wanted to go back to reading like a big book from his childhood. It was probably War and Peace or Little Women, I don't know. But anyway, the point was he couldn't do it. Like all the computer technology reading and ebook stuff and the blue light probably, it reduced his comprehension skills to the point that he couldn't read an old bigger book and enjoy it anymore like he used to. This is why the public schools and their stupid tablets drive me crazy. Give children real books. Put a book in your kid's hand. I'm not saying you can't learn with technology because technology is great. You definitely can. But limit the tablets. Use real computers. Computer skills are necessary, especially for kids that want to grow up to become entrepreneurs and run businesses. Tablet skills? No, not that I've ever seen. I've never in my life been on Indeed looking at job applications and they list tablet skills as a requirement. No, it's usually like Excel, Python, typing at a certain speed, things of that nature. To run a business, you need to know how to use a computer, a real life computer. Do you think tablets are really for learning and helping these kids learn how to make money on their own when they grow up? No, they need real books and to use a real computer with a mouse and a keyboard. Typing is a skill that I'm afraid is going to be lost if we don't start teaching it. And cursive handwriting. The Declaration of Independence is not written in emojis and shorthand manuscript slang with a bunch of memes in it. No, the children need to know how to read old documents so they know what they say. They need to learn how to write in cursive. If the school doesn't teach it, that's fine. You teach it. Teach them how to read an actual clock, an analog clock. You wouldn't believe how many people don't know how to do this. Teach them how to count change. Teach them how to budget money. Teach them the importance of hard work. Teach them how to garden and teach them the names of trees and plants and herbs and mushrooms and how to identify plants and animals. These are essential things that children should be learning. We are going to get back to nature at some point. So just teach them nature. Even if you don't have it around you, you can find a book. Of course, most public libraries are slowly dwindling away with the older books, but you can still find them. It's just kind of difficult. Check around like thrift stores. They've got old books. And in these older books, they have like drawings of these plants. And you can find newer ones, I guess, with pictures in them too, but the older ones went more in depth from what I can tell. But let's teach them nature again. One room schoolhouse stuff. Teach them about dandelions. They're full of potassium. They're healthy. They're not a weed. Don't kill off your dandelions. So, peppermint. The peppermint is like the best thing in the world for a tummy ache. And it's great for kids' tummy aches. Teach children about the value of bees, how photosynthesis works, how everything in nature exists in a symbiotic relationship together, why we need bees to pollinate, and how we can save the bees from the toxins that are destroying them. Teach them that carbon is essential to life and we need so much of it in our daily diets. Just like plants, release oxygen. Teach them the importance of playing in the dirt and how it helps the immune system. Okay, so like emotions, right? When kids have emotions, they do, instead of yelling and saying, be quiet, teach them how to tell stories about their emotions. And like the Disney movie, this is going to get your kids to become creative about their feelings and self-awareness and get them able to express them instead of yelling about them and repressing them. And then they've got years of inner child and shadow work to do later on. We can skip out on all that. Just let children make noises now. Let them express their anger and stuff in a healthy way. Let them tell a story about their emotions. And then they learn self-awareness as well as using their right brain. Right brain learners like hands-on stuff too. So they like to learn by using their hands. I love this STEM stuff, but you don't have to buy those. You can just give them some toys that you can put together and take apart. Get on learning how to knit or crochet, any of the fine motor skills type things, any kind of artwork, any kind of crafts, stuff like that. You can play like visualization games with them. Teach them to imagine like a safe place or help them through guided imagery until they get good at imagining things on their own. Using visualization skills is right brain. And if you can't find if you don't know how to do any of this for yourself, you can always find mindfulness videos like on YouTube for kids that are like 4 and 5 minutes long. And it will teach them how to visualize things. Music. Music is right brain. And I love music of all kinds. I mean, I don't like noise that pretends to be music. I like real music. And children will benefit from listening to real music, real instruments, classical music, opera music, oldies music, and music from different cultures and drums and rhythm, clapping, dancing, playing instruments. Like we have a tongue drum and a keyboard, and we play like the dance game on the Switch. We have like a karaoke thing. Music helps to teach kids patterns and creativity, and it enhances memory. I'm sure anybody my age or older remembers like buying the CD or the tape cassette and pulling out the little sleeve thing to read the lyrics before like AZ lyrics. And you would listen to your favorite song on like repeat until you mastered those lyrics, right? So, it teaches memorization skills. Okay, so imagination play. Let your kids play like kitchens and houses, build forts with your furniture. Go out in the woods, pretend that they're cooking food with random leaves and creek water. Imagination play really helps your right brain develop. Mindfulness and meditation. I just talked about this in my self-care for kids article I posted the other day. You can find YouTube mindfulness and meditation videos for kids too. They're really cute and slow, and they're not very long. So you can start out, with 5 minutes, and then they can eventually get up to 10 or 15 minutes. You can even do movement meditations like yoga, qigong, walking in the woods for a few minutes. Anything that they can do, like coloring, quietly calms the mind down, and it will enrich the right brain. You can teach them empathy. So many people in the world don't understand how to use empathy, and it is a skill. Yeah, some people feel like they absorb everybody else's energy. But empathy is still a skill that kids should learn. This way, if they're ever like running completely over someone else's feelings, then they'll be able to notice like the subtle signs that they hurt their friend and stop and check up on them. Empathy is a great skill for building a very strong leader. If you want your child to grow up and run their own business at some point, they'll have to hire help. And you want them to be able to have good interpersonal relationship skills with others and care about their feelings. Heart-led kids are going to be the movers and shakers, y'all. Okay, cooking and baking. Let your kids help with cooking and baking, even if you aren't the baker, which I'm not. But I still do it for them here and there. Like I like to cook, don't get me wrong, but baking is just not a skill that I have. I mean, we make like cookies and Chex Mix. We don't make like zucchini bread or fancy desserts because for that I send them to my grandma. She can show them that kind of stuff. But it gives kids like a chance to measure out ingredients, gets them hands-on in the process of cooking and seeing things from scratch to finish. And then they feel good that they helped and they did part of it. Plus, you can let them go wild and make up some kind of dish they can create. It might not taste wonderful, but it's good for their imaginations to explore themselves in the kitchen. Cooking is like a long-lost skill that so many people have forgotten. When you cook, you put your loving energy into the food, and then you're grateful for everybody who was part of the process. If you didn't grow it yourself, which, that's a lost skill too. I think we should grow our own food and cook our own food, and the whole process would be healing as well as healthy. And it's great to teach your kids these things. But if not, think about the farmer who did grow it. Then think about the person that helped transport it, the person who shelved it, the person who sold it to you at the farmer's market. And then be grateful for everyone and everything that went into the process that you have food. Bless your food. Raise the vibration of the food and your own. Cooking's therapeutic. I'm so glad I cook every day and almost every meal for my kids so that they get the very best food that I can literally find. Convenience has just ruined the food and the whole process, and it's making everybody sick and unhealthy. We really need to take our power back from convenience. What was the amount of ingredients in those famous fries up to now 19? You mean the things they cut up and put in grease and fry them? Like cut potatoes need 19 different things in them? What? Why? Food should be consumed the way God gave it to us. We need to go back to not cooking most of our food anyway and eating most of it raw. When you cook the food, you take all of the good organic material almost out of it. You turn it into inorganic material, which is just hardening our bodies up. Raw, full of life force energy food is the way to go for at least 60% of your diet, which I know it's hard to do. And we probably don't even do that. But small steps, just small steps. You could start with a little bit of raw foods and just feel how different your body feels after eating something really good and how it feels after eating everything else. Okay, so next on the list, I have doodling, coloring, art, painting. I don't know if I mentioned art, but if I did, give kids some paper and let them go wild and encourage the messy kind of art too. I get out a big plastic tablecloth and lay it on the floor, and then I let my kids do splatter Picasso style painting. They have so much fun and they really come up with some nice work that they can be proud of. It's a good way to get their emotions and stuff out too that might be bothering them, and it works on the right brain skills. Too many people are worried about their house and carpet, whatever. Just let your kids' brain expand and grow during their development and forget about the material stuff. That stuff's not even important. Okay, so next you want to encourage non-linear thinking. Everything does not have to be black and white, start to finish. Respect my authority. No, you can teach them that it's okay to connect ideas and things together that may not be obvious that they can connect. Take 5 random things from your house and have your kids make up a story that includes all 5 things and see how their imagination can just take off. Think about it, folks. The people using their intuition and thinking outside the box and going against the grain and questioning things, these are the people that made history and have changed our lives for the better. The people that realize that everything in this world is a vibration and a frequency. We need more intuitive, critical thinkers. We need movers and shakers. And most of all, we need loving and compassionate souls who want to build a world where everyone works together in harmony with nature as God intended and Mother Earth has always wanted to provide for us. So many people destroy her and are trying to harm this beautiful planet. Let's raise kids who change the world for the better, not fall into the assembly line of yes men. All right, guys, that's all I got. Remember to always unleash your healing vibes.